Alright, welcome to something slightly different on the channel. In this video, we are going to show you how to create some awesome looking hockey cards in Franchise Hockey Manager 10. So if you've loaded up the game and you've never really changed anything, chances are you'll be greeted when you sim forward a day to a hockey card that looks a lot like that. It is very, very plain. It's very, very basic. You get the logo, you get the face, you get the name, you get the position. However, what if I told you that instead of having a hockey card looking like that, perhaps you could have one that looked a little bit more like this or like this? Easy to change. You just got to have a photo editing software and access to basically Notepad. If you're able to do any of this, we'll show you how. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is you are going to need to find the folder where your hockey cards lie. So all you need to do is just find your Save Games folder, load into your saved game, find graphics, find cards, and for the purposes of this video we are doing modern. However, there are 1910s, 30s, 50s, 80s and 90s, all very, very similar apart from one bit at the very bottom of the card, which I will show you in a moment. You want to go in, open up the info.txt, and you are going to get this massive wall of text. And for simplicity's sake, I've kind of copied this into Photoshop, and we'll kind of work our way through what it all means. So the first one on the list here is order. Now this is kind of how the game itself is going to layer the bits that you are going to create in a moment. So at the very top, it will have the modern card top. You can rename these if you want to. It's just easier to remember this way. Number 2, it will generate the face gen image and put it there. Number 3 will be a team color one, and number 4 will be a background. Now, for those that aren't quite familiar with how Photoshop works, it is easier to think of it as pieces of kind of what you used to have at school for projectors. So clear pieces of which would have certain parts of an image on it. So modern top would be this umbrella, face gen would go underneath it, modern team color would be the beach and the sea, and the modern team background would be the sky. And we can break that down even further by looking at an example in a moment. After that, what you would then look at is the face gem. Now, it will come up with two things. It wants to know how big the box is going to be. Just leave that at 75 pixels by 75 pixels. And it will need to know where you want to position that face gem. And I've just gone and created something here that kind of gives you a rough idea of how to do it. When you go and create the file, you are looking at a 200 by 300 file. So 200 width, 300 height. So the way that it works is your top left hand corner will be 0x, 0y. As you go across to the right, you'll be still looking at 0y because it hasn't gone downwards, but you go up to 200x. If you go the other route, you'll be looking at 300y, but 0x. And if you go all the way to the other side, you're looking at 300y and 200x. So when you go and create them, you just need to try and remember what your x and y coordinates are. So for that, you'd be looking at roughly 15 pixels over, 49 pixels down, and then it will create a 75 by 75 box from there. So the next thing that it will generate is a team name. You have the ability to pick whether or not you want the team name to be all in capitals or if you want it mixed. So if we just go back to the previous examples that we had. So you can see Pulowski and Basti is all in capitals, but James is in lowercase. So James would be mixed, his surname, Reimer, would be all capitals. It'll ask you for the font size, so that's how big that text is going to be. So James is in a smaller font size than Reimer, and Goalie is in a middle-ish font size, roughly the same as James. It is going to take a bit of trial and error. You may need to save, load in and out the game a couple of times while you work out the best size. Font weight is normal or bold. Font style is normal or italic. And then the color. So you may need to use a hex-based thing. So you can look in here, work out what the color is that you want your text to be, and then put that in there. For the box size, much like it is with the face gen, it is going to generate a box to put that name in. So it will look at roughly 200 by 50. There are some names that are a little bit bigger, but it will do its best to try and fit them in. And then it will look at roughly where the position is. Again, it will look across at X, and it'll go down by 10, and then it'll try and create the 200 by 50 box to put the name in. And then whether or not you want the text left aligned, right aligned, or centered in the box. 9 times out of 10, just leave it as left aligned. Once you've got your team name, you can then add the player's surname, and again, very, very similar, capital or mixed, the font, whatever you want, as long as you've got it on your computer, I should say, the size, the font weight, color, box size, horizontal and verticals. It would also ask you for the first name, so much like the same, font, weight, color, size and position. After that, it is the team logo. So if we go back to the image here, you can see the team logo is here on this file, it is down the bottom on this file, and if we can go for the third one that you can't quite see, but let's just move it, and you'll see it is up here. So you can actually move what and where the image goes. So much like before, you look at the position. So for this one, it is roughly 8 by 8, and this is kind of the last one I was working on. So it goes right 8 there, and it'll start about here. You'll then create a 75 by 75 box, and it will center horizontally and vertically the logo. So it kind of puts it about there. If you wanted it roughly in the middle, you'd be looking around about, you'd be looking somewhere maybe 60, 75. You want it about here to start, to create it kind of about there. You don't want to put it at 100 because it will put it in the center and create the box from there. So aim for about 60, 70. Great. And you can put it sort of here if you want it, or make sure that the Y coordinates are really high. So you can put them in down here. So it is going to take some trial and error. You will need just to save the file and go back in, reload the game, make some changes. Yes, there you go. You can add the team logo. You also have position. So again, you can see here, center, goalie, left wing. Exactly the same premise. All caps or mixed. Font type, type of weight, color, box size, and position. Then the final one that we are probably going to show is years. This will appear if we go back into the original debug file. It appears at the bottom here. This is useful if you are having a career that spans over multiple years and you do want to have multiple different hockey cards. The system will read the start date and it will look at it and go, right, from 2020, it needs to have these cards. If there is an end date of maybe 2021, it means that at the end of 2021, it won't use those cards anymore. If we go back to the original one here and we open up, say for instance, this one here, you'll see that these run from 1900 to 1929. So when 1929 ends and it goes into 1930, then it will pull the information out of this file instead, and so on. So you can create multiple different hockey cards depending on what year you're looking for. There is one more that does come in this file that I will briefly cover, but I will just let you know it isn't actually working. I have spoken to Jeff in the forums and he is aware of it, and that is team nickname. So I believe at some point it would be able to give that, as a hitman on that one, that would be the Sharks on that one, you know, it would say the name of the team. It's not working. I cannot figure out how to get it working. It is an issue with the game itself, but that is an option should this, you know, video be out in the future, and that has been fixed. Let's kind of run over this order in a little bit more detail with my actual file that I use. So excuse all the lines, it is just help me to guide. We'll just go in and turn those off. There we go. So we start with the modern background. So for me, if I just open that up, I've got a couple of different varieties of ones that I've been looking at over the years. So you've got a nice little kind of smoky, misty ice, or you've got an arena. So you just need to grab a file, pop it in there, and that will become your background. If we go back to, let's get rid of that now. We go back to here, this is going to be the sky in that background. So anything else will be laid above it. Once you've created that, the next thing to look into is going to be the face gen. So it will then put in, as again, we're using our example with the sea and the sand, it will then generate a face gen. For the purposes of the video, I am just going to grab one, we'll just pop that in, but please bear in mind when you're making it yourself, the system will do that once you've saved everything. All right, so I've just gone and grabbed Cold Temple out of my Regina Pats game, and I've just kind of pasted him in there just so you can get a rough idea of what it's going to look like once the game has done its thing. So now that we've got the background in place, in fact, you need to be just that little bit lower. You need to be here in the list. The next thing that it would do, if we go back to our image, is it would look at the modern card team color. So this is going to kind of be the umbrella, but a bit in between. So if I just quickly apply the one that I have currently in my game, we have that. Now what it does is it will look at what is black in the file, and it will just paste the team color in once you get into the game. We head back to this original file here. This is the team color for the Hitmen. That is the team color here for the Sharks. And this red here is the team color on that one. So it will just look at what is black in that file, and it will just make it the team color for you. I've got a couple of other examples I have been using just over the years. You've got that one there, which I've used for, again, if we move back to here, that's that one there. And then if we move again, we've got the original, the current one anyway. So that will be how you make the modern team color. Once you've done that, you then look at the top. So this is going to be what appears on your hockey card above everything else. So it will appear above the player, it will appear above the name. And on this one, you've got things like the FHM logo and the Out of the Park Developments kind of hologram that I have made. You can, if you are super snazzy, you can kind of create a bit of a transparent plasticky or a bent card effect if you really want to show off the old style cards. It is up to you what you want to do on that one. So for me, if I head back up here to my modern card top layer, if we open that one up, and you will see kind of what I've got going on here. So you can see there's a couple of different bits and pieces. I used to have the 10 logo up here. I have now moved it down to there. You've got the hologrammatic, that's a proper word. You've got hologrammatic Out of the Park Development logo down there. So that is just basically made, if we just turn a lot of these off, turn those two off there, and that logo, yeah. So it's basically made by taking that logo there, add in, just unclip that, add in a little bit of a holographic texture on that one, and just alt click, and it will just apply that to the shape of that one. It gives you a nice little logo there. So we can add stuff like that on. I think at one point I did have extra bits and pieces, a nice shiny, again, plasticky look I used to have, a bit of a card sheen. You can do whatever you want, but it will apply whatever you have to that individual layer. Now, once you've kind of got that all in place, you then need to separate your layers. So I'm going to go into my saved game. Let's go into my cards. Let's go into modern. So you need to then save PNG versions of all of it. So modern background, you save that first. If you go into team color, you would save that. Team color 2 is there. I tried that, didn't like that one. You would then save your top. So I've got a nice little black line there, holographic logo, and the Franchise Hockey Manager 10. Once you've done that, you've saved all your PNGs into this file here. You've got all the information to the best of your ability set up in there. You go in, you load the game. Once you're in the game, head to a particular day, press the continue button, and you will see it generate them here for you. What you will need to do, if you are unhappy with the way that it looks, is you'll need to exit the game. You need to go back in to your text file. You'll need to make whatever changes you want to make and save the file again. If you are looking to change the images, you'll have to go in, make the changes, resave the PNG, then reload the game, then press continue, and then see the changes that you've made. It's a little bit long-winded, but you can create your own hockey cards just the way you want them. We'll leave it there. I know appreciate that maybe a slightly longer video and it may be slightly harder than you were expecting out of one of my videos, but if you do have any questions or queries, feel free to leave it in the comments section and I will do my best to answer. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Speak to you next time.